Hey you guys, it's been a while. Moustache is gone, disappointingly, but yeah, things are good. Been plodding along, doing other things for a while. There's some big plans afoot with regards to the garage, where we're living, all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to do a few videos this weekend. I've got a reasonably quiet weekend, so number one, I'd like to get the fuel gauge working on the Celica. At the moment, the fuel gauge, the way I've got it wired up doesn't work. I've tried various different configurations. I think I understand why now, but in a minute I'll explain. I'm also going to get the pit lane speed limiter working. So we're going to do a bit of time on that, showing setup and what it sounds like, how it goes. And I'll also just show you over some of the bits that I've done in the meantime as well, because there's a couple of other bits and bobs that we've been working on. So I'll show you what the plan is. I think it's probably the best way of doing it. If I show you what the plan is with regards to the speeder, the fuel gauge, and explain to you the issues. Beautifully drawn circuit diagram, as usual. The biggest issue is that the sensor for the tank normally feeds the cluster. And the cluster is it's an old-fashioned, fully manual, it's got a bimetallic strip type needle in it. So that has quite a low resistance, requires quite a lot of power. If we try and use the onboard potential dividers, which are available because it's got onboard resistors that you can tell it to use, they're in the kilo ohm range, which means that the output, if you vary on the standard in-tank resistor, that goes from 3 ohms to 110 ohms. If we had the onboard resistor working, which we've tried, we end up with an output somewhere between I think it's about 10 milliamps and 130 milliamps, something like that. It's tiny, and even on the 10-bit resolution that we have with the ECU master, it just doesn't work properly. It also overloads the onboard 5-volt rail. I'm not comfortable using it. So the plan is to use this circuit. So as I say, first of all, the 5-volt rail on the ECU, I don't want to feed through this resistor, because it'll draw way too much current for the rail, and it'll cause all sorts of other problems. So I'm going to use this. This is a 5-volt DCDC buck converter. So that'll take 12 volts from the standard chassis power and output a stable 5-volt output. Now, it isn't going to be as good as the onboard 5-volt on the ECU, but it doesn't matter. Even if this wavers slightly, we're using such a wide range on the with the potential divider that it's not going to affect the output that much. Second thing is a big boy resistor. So the potential divider, I've got these, which are 56 ohm resistors. That means that the potential divider circuit, with a range on the fuel sender of 3 ohms to 110 ohms, with a 56 ohm potential divider resistor, R2, gives us an output of 1.7 volts to about 4.8 volts. So really good wide range, lots of resolution. And that is the output that gets fed to the ECU. The other thing is, you'll see that the components are pretty big. These are 2-watt resistors. This system, I think, is going to dissipate in the region of about 1/4 of a watt at most. And so effectively I've just given myself a massive safety margin. It should be all good. I'm okay with the way this is going to work, I think. And so yeah, effectively we're going to have 12 volts in, 5 volts out. The 5-volt out feeds through the variable resistor in the tank. The output that you've got from that variable resistor is split between the 56 ohm and the other one goes to the ECU. So that's what we're going to do. Next, you're going to watch me go in fast motion, zooming around. Okay, I think that's us done. What I've done is I've taken the power feed from the fuel pumps. So it's, number one, it's fused, relayed, and it also means that this power module will only come on when the fuel pumps come on, which is perfect. So I only need a fuel gauge when the engine's running. I've checked it, we're getting 5V output for the 12V feed. I've put our 56 ohm to ground as off of our feed line to our ECU. So we should now be able to plug in the ECU, force the pumps on and see what it's doing. Let's have a look. Okay, so just take you through what we've done. So I know that our fuel level goes from 3 ohms full to 110 empty. At 110 ohms we're making 4.9 volts, and at 3 ohms we're making about 1.7 volts. As it stands we're at 1.8, so actually I need to move this across a bit. So that one there, I need to make that one 100. Just linearly interpolate that. We should have, what I'm hoping is, that's just reading full the whole time. It should not be. That should be saying, it's saying 0 volts. It's not right. Oh, I know why. I haven't got the pump running, have I? So let's hey! Thumbs up, we got it working. So although at the moment it is trying to go, it says 435, so it's fully empty, which is not, it's nearly full. Maybe we've got those the wrong way around then. Set it all to 0. Wicked, all working perfectly, fantastic. So we've got it all set up. We've got empty at 1.33 volts. I might adjust that because 1.7 is effectively, should be in theory empty, all the way up to 4.5 full. So in fact I'll do that now because otherwise it will get confusing. Set that to 0. There we go, right. And that's our cow. Perfect. Fuel gauge working. Mega. So one thing that did happen during this process is I found that my pumps actually, when the engine's not running, we're only getting about 10.5 volts to it. So there's definitely a voltage drop there. I might have to run some big boy cables to the back of the car for the fuel pump. I don't want to be running out of voltage because it makes a massive difference to pump flow. I mean, you can lose 40% of the pump flow capacity, volumetric, in doing so. So it might be worth doing that. So either way, success!